What do I authentically, organically want to share? I go back to the authenticity, right? It's what I love and it's what I want to share. I wanted to do what felt authentic, but also to be authentic.
The headlines didn't whisper, they exploded. Meghan Markle stepped out in yet another look that screamed, "I studied Catherine's wardrobe," and the internet lost its mind. Analysts have now documented 10 separate moments where Meghan tried to mirror Catherine's iconic style, causes, image, and even her body language. Some were subtle, some were so blatant that even her own supporters called them desperate. Today, we're counting down all 10 and showing exactly why every single one backfired miserably. Let's start with number 1, the Catherine Walker coat dress moment. For years, Catherine has made the British designer Catherine Walker her signature. One particular structured coat dress from a 2017 royal engagement became instantly iconic. Fitted, graceful, modest hemline, perfectly placed hat, elegant clutch. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, it was structured, graceful, and perfectly balanced. The fitted shape, the modest hemline, the coordinated hat placed just right, the elegant clutch. Every detail signaled royal sophistication without trying too hard. Catherine had worn similar pieces for years, building a reputation for timeless elegance that felt completely natural to her. The public saw her in that coat dress and immediately understood. This is what modern royalty looks like when it's effortless. People admired how Catherine could take a classic design and make it look like it had been created just for her, as if the fabric itself knew her posture and the way she carried herself through royal duties. That coat dress wasn't just clothing, it was a statement of quiet confidence that had been cultivated over more than a decade of public service. Then, just 3 months later, Meghan appeared at her first major royal engagement wearing a coat dress that felt strikingly similar. The shape matched, the accessory formula matched, the styling approach mirrored the original, almost step by step. Fashion journalist Elizabeth Holmes quickly documented the resemblance. She didn't sugarcoat it. She wrote that it looked like Meghan had studied Catherine's outfit and recreated it piece by piece. The fabric wasn't identical. The designer name wasn't the same, but the overall effect was almost a mirror image. Royal watchers caught it instantly. The reactions online came fast, and they were not gentle. One observer commented, "Meghan can wear whatever she wants, but she'll need more than a coat dress to achieve Catherine's effortless elegance." That was actually one of the kinder takes. Because here's the real twist. This wasn't a one-time overlap. It marked the start of a pattern, a steady pattern, a pattern so consistent that even strong supporters struggled to call it coincidence. And trust this, by the time you reach number 10, the pattern looks even louder. Critics say every attempt to capture Catherine's magic missed one key ingredient: authenticity. The numbers don't lie. The timeline tells a story, and it's a story Meghan probably wishes people would stop connecting. The public saw a woman trying to borrow an image that Catherine had spent years earning naturally, and the attempt backfired because the public can always spot when someone is trying too hard to copy instead of creating their own identity. Side-by-side photos flooded social media within hours, and the consensus was clear. Catherine wore the coat dress like it was part of her DNA. Meghan wore it like she had studied it in a mirror the night before. That single moment set the tone for everything that followed, and the public never forgot the feeling that this was imitation, not inspiration. Number 2, the royal blue obsession. Catherine made a very specific cobalt blue her power color years ago. She wore it during her engagement announcement. She wore it while meeting global leaders. She wore it when she wanted to send a message without saying a word. That shade became hers in the public mind. When people saw that color, they thought of Catherine. Period. It wasn't just a color. It was a symbol of quiet confidence, of a future queen who knew exactly who she was and didn't need to shout to be noticed. Catherine had worn variations of that blue for over a decade, from state visits to charity events, and each time the public responded with admiration because it felt completely authentic to her personality and role. The shade complemented her poise, her calm demeanor, and the way she carried herself through high-pressure situations, making her appear both regal and approachable at the same time. People began associating that particular blue with strength, grace, and the future of the monarchy itself. Then Meghan joined the royal family, and suddenly that same precise royal blue began appearing again and again in her wardrobe. Multiple events, multiple appearances, the exact tone Catherine had already made iconic. Fashion blogger Emma Louise pointed out that Meghan's use of royal blue noticeably increased after her royal entry. The shade was nearly identical, but critics claimed the outcome felt different. When Catherine wore it, the color seemed natural, like it belonged to her. When Meghan wore it, comparisons exploded. One analyst said bluntly, "Catherine wears royal blue. Meghan borrows it." Harsh, maybe, but that's how some saw it. Catherine built her identity carefully over years. Meghan, critics argued, appeared to step into an already drawn outline, and people always notice when someone hands in homework that looks a little too familiar. The public sensed imitation rather than ownership, and that's exactly why this attempt backfired so visibly. Every time Meghan appeared in that shade, social media filled with side-by-side photos and comments asking why she couldn't find her own signature color. The more she wore it, the more the public saw it as a deliberate copy rather than a personal choice. And the attempt to mirror Catherine's power color only highlighted the difference between earned authority and borrowed style. Comment sections filled with remarks like, "Catherine owns the color, Meghan is just renting it," and the repeated use only made the imitation more obvious with each appearance. Number 3. The pearl pattern. Catherine's connection to pearls runs deep. She's worn the late Queen's pearl earrings, elegant pearl drop necklaces, classic bracelets, understated chokers. Pearls became part of her visual signature, linking her to royal history while still keeping things modern and fresh. Catherine had inherited many of these pieces and wore them with the quiet confidence of someone who understood their history and meaning. The public saw her in pearls and felt a connection to tradition that felt completely natural. Pearls weren't just accessories for Catherine, they were a bridge between the past and the present, worn with the ease of someone who had grown up understanding the weight and elegance of royal heirlooms. Then, after Meghan married into the family, pearls began appearing more often in her own wardrobe. Not trendy pearls, not bold experimental pieces. Classic, timeless pearl styles similar to the very ones Catherine had helped make contemporary again. Jewelry expert Ella Kay reportedly tracked the shift, noting Meghan's pearl choices increased significantly after 2018. Some pieces closely resembled styles Catherine had previously worn at high-profile events. During Princess Eugenie's wedding, comparisons circulated heavily online. Catherine wore subtle pearl earrings. Meghan opted for larger, more dramatic pearls. One look felt effortless, the other felt intentional. Critics argued the difference wasn't about money, it was about presence. Catherine's pearls looked inherited, natural, almost lived in. Meghan's looked newly purchased and carefully chosen for impact. As one fashion commentator put it, "You can buy the jewelry, you cannot buy the grace." That line stuck. The public saw the calculation behind the choice, and the attempt to mirror Catherine's timeless elegance backfired, because grace cannot be bought or copied overnight. Social media threads filled with comparisons showing Catherine's pearls looking like family heirlooms and Meghan's looking like a new purchase. And the public's reaction made it clear that imitation in something so personal only draws attention to the lack of authenticity. Every time Meghan added pearls to her look, the comments rolled in comparing the two, and the consensus was always the same. One felt like heritage, the other felt like a statement piece chosen for the cameras. Number 4, maternity fashion. Catherine's pregnancy style set global trends. Structured coat dresses, soft empire waists, elegant heels even late into pregnancy, coordinated accessories. She managed to look both glowing and appropriate at the same time. Her approach balanced glamour with tradition, and many royal watchers admired that consistency. Catherine had gone through 3 pregnancies in the public eye, and each time she chose outfits that felt practical for a working royal while still looking polished. The public loved how she made motherhood look graceful without trying to be a fashion icon, balancing the demands of royal duty with the realities of pregnancy in a way that felt authentic and relatable. When Meghan became pregnant, anticipation built quickly. She had her own pre-royal fashion identity as an actress. Many expected something bold and different, something fresh. Instead, critics felt they were watching a highlight reel of Catherine's previous maternity moments. Coat dresses returned. Empire waists reappeared. The color coordination echoed earlier royal pregnancies. The overall silhouettes looked very familiar. Fashion analyst Alicia Brunker commented that Catherine dressed for comfort and her changing body, while Meghan often appeared to dress for the camera. Whether fair or not, the perception grew. One dark coat dress moment especially triggered comparison. Some said it looked nearly identical to an outfit Catherine wore while expecting Princess Charlotte. Online comments grew sharp. Imitation is flattery, but this feels strange, one wrote. That remark spread quickly, and it didn't fade away. The public sensed performance over genuine adaptation to motherhood, and this attempt to mirror Catherine's maternity elegance backfired, because authenticity in such a personal chapter cannot be rehearsed. Every side-by-side photo that circulated only reinforced the idea that Meghan was trying to recreate a look that Catherine had lived naturally, and the public rejected the copy because it lacked the real experience behind it. The more photos emerged, the more the conversation shifted from admiration to criticism, with people pointing out how Catherine's maternity style felt lived in, while Meghan's felt curated for maximum visual impact. Number 5. Early childhood development. Catherine built her charitable focus around early childhood development. She didn't just lend her name. She funded research, she launched initiatives, she met with experts in psychology and neuroscience. Over time, early years development became central to her royal identity. Catherine had spent years studying the topic, visiting nurseries, speaking with scientists, and turning her passion into real policy influence. The public saw her work as genuine because it was built slowly and consistently, with Catherine investing time and energy behind the scenes long before the cameras rolled. When Meghan stepped into royal duties, observers expected her to focus strongly on women's empowerment, something she had spoken about long before marriage. Instead, children's initiatives began appearing in her portfolio too, not fully replacing her previous interests, but enough to invite comparison. Royal commentator Richard Eden noted the overlap. Catherine had already made early childhood her defining cause. Meghan's entry into similar territory felt to some strategically timed. Supporters say shared interests are natural. Critics say the alignment felt calculated. The debate continues. One charity worker reportedly told The Times, "Catherine asks questions because she wants to understand. Meghan asks questions because she knows she should." Whether that's fair or not, that quote fueled discussion. Authentic passion versus careful positioning. People believe they can sense the difference. The public saw the strategic timing rather than organic passion, and the attempt to mirror Catherine's signature cause backfired because genuine commitment cannot be fast-tracked. Every time Meghan spoke about early childhood, the public compared it to Catherine's long-term work, and the contrast only made the imitation more obvious. The timing of Meghan's announcements often coincided with Catherine's milestones, leading many to question whether this was coincidence or a deliberate attempt to share the spotlight in a cause Catherine had already made her own. Number 6. The casual jeans revolution. Catherine transformed royal casual wear. Fitted jeans, clean tops, simple sneakers. She looked relatable without losing elegance. School events and sports days became style moments without trying too hard. At Prince George's school sports event, her skinny jeans, striped top, and white sneakers became instantly recognizable. It felt effortless, natural, very Catherine. Catherine had worn jeans her whole life before becoming a royal, so the look felt like an extension of who she was, a seamless blend of her pre-royal life and her royal responsibilities that the public found refreshing and genuine. Months later, Meghan appeared in a similar combo. Skinny jeans, striped shirt, white sneakers. The elements matched closely, but critics said the vibe felt different. Journalist Allison Jane described it this way: Catherine looks like she dressed in 5 minutes. Meghan looks like she rehearsed it. That contrast stuck. Catherine's casual look evolved from her pre-royal life. She wore jeans long before royal titles. Meghan's casual royal style seemed to shift noticeably after joining the family. Before marriage, very different aesthetic. After, strikingly aligned. People connect dots. They build timelines. They compare photos. And when patterns appear repeatedly, conversations grow louder. The public sensed the shift was calculated rather than natural, and the attempt to copy Catherine's relatable casual style backfired because relatability cannot be manufactured after the fact. The more Meghan tried the effortless look, the more it looked like an effort, and the public called it out every time with comments pointing out how Catherine's casual style felt lived in, while Meghan's felt like a carefully planned photo opportunity. Number 7. The Mental Health Initiative. This is the moment even some of Meghan's own supporters quietly called desperate. Critics described it as the most obvious overlap yet. The conversation around it became intense. The timing, the messaging, the presentation, everything felt familiar. Catherine, William, and Harry spent years building the Heads Together campaign, the result of meticulous planning, comprehensive research, and extensive consultation with mental health experts across the UK. Its primary mission was ambitious, yet deeply necessary, to challenge and dismantle the stigma surrounding mental health conditions. Catherine's involvement was both visible and influential. She recorded heartfelt videos discussing her personal struggles with motherhood, sharing experiences that resonated with families across the country. Beyond video messages, she actively engaged in panels, roundtables, and forums focused on anxiety, postpartum depression, and family mental health crisis. She visited hospitals, met with affected families, and participated in discussions that required nuanced understanding and compassion. Her commitment was not fleeting. It was sustained over years. The campaign's success can largely be attributed to this authenticity. Catherine, William, and Harry did not simply appear for media opportunities. They immersed themselves in understanding the real-world challenges faced by those struggling with mental health issues. This hands-on approach distinguished the initiative as genuinely impactful rather than performative. The work was done quietly for years before the public even knew the full extent, building credibility through consistent action rather than high-profile announcements. The narrative changed dramatically once Meghan and Harry stepped back from royal duties. Suddenly, mental health advocacy became central to Meghan's public image. Her high-profile interviews, most notably the Oprah Winfrey special, highlighted her own mental health challenges, while initiatives under the Archewell banner prominently emphasized mental health awareness and programming. Meghan began publicly positioning herself as a mental health advocate, yet the timing made the shift appear more reactive than proactive, more strategic than sincere. As royal commentator Angela Levin observed, there was an uncomfortable parallel. Catherine had spent years quietly building her credibility in this space, whereas Meghan's efforts appeared overnight and heavily curated for headlines. This contrast sparked widespread public discussion and scrutiny. One approach, Catherine's, suggested deep, long-term commitment and genuine engagement. The other, Meghan's, suggested strategic positioning designed for image management. Comment sections, social media threads, and opinion columns were filled with remarks emphasizing the difference. Catherine had done the work step by step, often away from the media spotlight. Meghan, meanwhile, seemed to take credit, sometimes even offering mental health guidance, while outside the very royal support systems Catherine had helped create and nurture. For many observers, the distinction was clear. Advocacy built over years cannot be Advocacy built over years cannot be replicated instantly. Genuine passion and calculated positioning are two fundamentally different things. This attempt backfired more than almost any other because mental health is too personal and too important to imitate without the public noticing the lack of real foundation behind it. The timing of Meghan's shift into this space, right after leaving royal duties, only amplified the perception that this was a strategic move rather than a lifelong passion, and the public's response was swift and unforgiving. Number 8. Family photography aesthetic. Catherine's family photos, which she often takes herself, are celebrated for their natural, candid quality. The settings are usually outdoor with natural lighting, capturing genuine smiles, spontaneous moments, and playful interactions. They convey a sense of intimacy and warmth, giving the public the feeling that they are glimpsing real family life rather than a staged photo shoot. Catherine's ability to combine technical skill with natural storytelling is rooted in her formal art history education, her knowledge of composition, light, and framing, and her understanding of what resonates emotionally with audiences. Every image she releases is deliberately composed yet effortlessly natural, a delicate balance few can achieve. Catherine had studied art history and applied that knowledge to create images that felt like genuine family moments rather than professional productions. When Meghan and Harry began releasing their own family photographs, observers immediately noticed similarities in style: outdoor backdrops, relaxed poses, and attempts at candid moments. Yet subtle but significant differences became apparent. Catherine's images maintain an organic spontaneity. Smiles arrive naturally, gestures are unforced, and every photograph conveys the impression of a lived moment. Meghan's photos, by contrast, often felt staged, carefully arranged to appear natural. Photography experts noted the difference. Catherine waits for authenticity to emerge, while Meghan seems to engineer it, sometimes requiring multiple takes to replicate genuine moments. The annual Christmas card comparisons only amplified these observations. Catherine's cards show children actively playing in natural light, while Meghan's featured carefully posed children in professional settings. The effect is subtle but powerful. Audiences instinctively respond to authenticity and recoil when images feel manipulated. The attempt to mirror Catherine's warm family photography backfired because real moments cannot be staged convincingly, and the public could feel the difference in every photo released. Side-by-side comparisons flooded social media each Christmas, with people pointing out how Catherine's photos captured real joy while Meghan's felt like carefully directed scenes, leading to widespread criticism that the imitation lacked the emotional depth Catherine had achieved through years of genuine family life in the spotlight. Number 9. The royal walkabout technique. Catherine transformed public engagements into genuine, memorable interactions. She routinely kneels to speak with children at eye level, spends time with elderly fans who have waited for hours, accepts gifts gracefully, and reacts to public affection with visible emotion. Experts in body language have analyzed her methods extensively. The genuine smiles that reach her eyes, the attentive posture, and the light but reassuring touches on arms or shoulders create a sense of sincere connection. None of this is rehearsed, and it shows. Catherine's walkabouts have become legendary for their warmth because they stem from years of practice and a genuine interest in the people she meets, making every interaction feel personal and meaningful. Upon Meghan's introduction to royal life, the public expected her to develop her own unique approach to walkabouts. Instead, many observers noted that Meghan appeared to replicate Catherine's style, copying specific gestures, kneeling positions, and conversational techniques. Body language experts, including Dr. Lillian Glass, pointed out key differences. Catherine's interactions demonstrate full engagement and alignment between facial expression, eye contact, and tone, while Meghan's often appear calculated with frequent glances toward cameras and an overall performance-like quality. Royal correspondent Emily Andrews observed that Catherine focuses entirely on the person before her, whereas Meghan's gaze is often outward, directed toward media coverage. Actions can be imitated, authenticity cannot. The public saw the performance rather than the connection, and this attempt backfired because genuine human connection cannot be rehearsed for the cameras. Every video and photo of Meghan on walkabouts was compared to Catherine's, and the public's verdict was always the same. One felt real, the other felt practiced. The more Meghan adopted the same techniques, the more the public highlighted the subtle differences in eye contact and body language, turning what could have been a positive moment into another example of imitation that fell short. Number 10. The future queen positioning. This is the boldest one of all. Catherine's trajectory is constitutional reality. She is the future queen consort once William ascends the throne. Her preparation has been extensive and deliberate. Decades of private training, diplomatic briefings, and incremental responsibility have been carefully orchestrated with direct mentorship from the reigning monarch. Catherine has spent her entire adult life preparing for this role, attending private briefings, studying constitutional matters, and gradually taking on more responsibility under the guidance of the late Queen and King Charles. During Meghan's time as a working royal, observers noted moments that suggested she sought to position herself as an equal counterpart to Catherine. In joint appearances, she sometimes shared attention in ways that subtly shifted focus, rather than deferring to the designated future queen. Body language experts highlighted instances where Meghan's posture, gestures, and engagement suggested an attempt to claim equal prominence. These behaviors became one of the most analyzed aspects of her public role, drawing attention to questions of hierarchy, protocol, and intent. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams offered a striking observation that many royal watchers had quietly suspected. Meghan Markle seemed to envision herself as Catherine's equal within the royal hierarchy, despite the reality that she was not. This wasn't a matter of personal tension alone. It was rooted in constitutional structure and ceremonial precedents. Catherine is married to the future king, a position anchored in law, tradition, and decades of preparation. Meghan, by contrast, was a former working royal who had voluntarily stepped away from the institution. Sources within the palace suggested that this disconnect between expectation and reality contributed to significant frustration on Meghan's part as she navigated a role in which she was expected to support rather than co-lead, a subordinate rather than a counterpart to the future queen. From the outset, Meghan reportedly anticipated a partnership in prominence, imagining a kind of co-star dynamic with Catherine that the institution itself could not accommodate. This desire to share the spotlight was never aligned with the roles assigned by the royal family's protocols. When Meghan and Harry stepped away from royal duties, she appeared to continue projecting herself as an equal to Catherine, not only in interviews and public appearances, but also in carefully timed announcements that coincided with Catherine's engagements. Hugo Vickers noted that these actions created a perception of rivalry, even though the structural reality was simple. One is heir to a future queen, and the other had left the working royal sphere entirely. Over time, this contrast has only become more apparent, and even supporters of Meghan struggled to reconcile the perception with the constitutional truth. It's important to recognize that certain titles, responsibilities, and roles cannot be claimed through ambition or personal branding. They are conferred through birthright, sustained commitment, and public trust built over years. Catherine did not choose to become the future queen, yet she embraced the role with dedication, investing in private briefings, public diplomacy, and ongoing education about the monarchy's functions. This preparation, executed quietly over decades, is fundamentally different from attempting to imitate it externally. Meghan's actions, by contrast, have often emphasized visibility over lived experience, highlighting the gap between actual responsibility and aspirational positioning. The public saw ambition trying to mirror destiny, and this final attempt backfired most miserably of all because constitutional reality cannot be copied, no matter how bold the effort. The repeated attempts to position herself as an equal only served to remind the public of the clear hierarchy and the years of preparation Catherine had invested, making the imitation appear not just unsuccessful, but fundamentally misguided. So there you have it, Meghan's 10 boldest attempts to mirror Catherine, and why every single one backfired miserably. From coat dresses to causes, from pearls to photography, from walkabouts to future queen positioning, every single move carried the same fatal flaw. They lacked the one thing that cannot be copied: authenticity. Catherine built her image over decades of lived experience, quiet dedication, and genuine service. Meghan tried to step into an already drawn outline. The public can sense the difference every single time. A 2023 YouGov poll said it all. Catherine sits at 76% approval. Meghan languishes near the bottom at 23%. The gap isn't about popularity, it's about trust. Grace, humility, and quiet strength cannot be borrowed. They are cultivated through years of real commitment. Catherine has them. Meghan's attempts to mirror them only highlighted the gap. That is why every single one of these 10 attempts backfired miserably. Now tell me in the comments, which of these 10 moments do you think was the most obvious? And which one surprised you the most? If you enjoyed this deep dive into royal style, causes, and public perception, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. The next chapter in this story is never far away, and when it drops, you'll be the first to know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next breakdown.